Welcome to my channel, and in today's session we are going to discuss about the anatomy of the pericardium and its sinuses. We are going to discuss under following headings. First we will see what is the definition of pericardium, what is the pericardium, what is the shape, then where it is located, then coming to the extent, and what are the components of the pericardium like fibrous part and serous part. We will discuss about the sinus of pericardium in detail, then we will see the blood supply and nerve supply, and at last we will discuss applied aspects related to the pericardium. So what is pericardium? You can see there, you can see the heart in the mediastinum between the two lungs. It is covered by a fibrous serous covering. So pericardium is aptly defined as a double-walled fibrous serous sac containing the heart and its great blood vessels. Don't think the pericardium only covers the heart, it also covers the roots of great blood vessels like ascending aorta and pulmonary trunk. So it is a fibroserous sac. And coming to the shape of the pericardium is just like the heart. It is also conical, but with a wider base and narrow apex above. Heart has apex below. So you can see here, when you see the pericardium shape, the apex is pointing towards the roots of great blood vessels. You can notice here, yes, the base is wider here and it narrows towards the root of great blood vessels. So it is conical with the apex upwards. So this is the shape of the pericardium. Then coming to the location and extent, it is located in the middle mediastinum because it is covering the heart. You can see this entire space is called as mediastinum, and this is the inferior mediastinum what you are seeing. So it is located in the middle mediastinum, and it has these bony extents. Anteriorly it is related to the 2 to 6 ribs and their costal cartilage, and posteriorly it extends from the 5th to 8th thoracic vertebra. So you can see anteriorly it is related to the posterior surface of the body of the sternum. Here you can notice at the sternal angle you can see the 2nd rib, 3rd rib, 4th rib, 5th rib and 6th rib. So anteriorly the extent is from 2nd to 6th costal cartilage, posteriorly from 5th to 8th thoracic vertebra. This is the extent of the pericardium. It is located in the middle mediastinum. If you see here in the animation, we are seeing the thoracic part here, the thoracic cage, lungs and heart. And if you take out the left lung here, you are seeing the left lateral view now. In a minute you will see. You can see this is a left lateral view of the heart covered by the pericardium, and you can also see the bony extent anteriorly. You can notice there how the pericardium is enclosing the heart and roots of great blood vessels. That is the 2nd rib, 3rd rib, 4th rib, 5th rib and 6th rib that you see. Anteriorly it is related to the 2 to 6th ribs. This is the bony extent anteriorly, and posteriorly it is related to 5 to 8 thoracic vertebra because it lies in the inferior mediastinum. So the plane, imagine a plane dividing the mediastinum into superior and inferior, passes through the lower border of T4. So from T5 to T8, that is the posterior extent of the pericardium. You can see here, you can notice the left lateral view of the pericardium covering the heart. So you can observe the pericardium here. It is covering not only the heart but also covering the roots of great blood vessels. So if you isolate here, you can notice the shape here, how it is there. It is pierced by these blood vessels, and yes, this is the conical shape what we have discussed earlier. Base is broad, apex is narrow and directed upwards. So we have discussed about the definition, the location, shape and extent. Next we are going to components. What are the components? It has a outer fibrous pericardium and an inner serous pericardium. Outer fibrous part is open sac, just like a carry bag, plastic carry bag, whereas inner serous sac is a closed sac, just like a balloon. It is similar to pleura covering the lungs. So pericardium has two components, outer fibrous and inner serous. Outer fibrous is single layer, inner serous is reduced into two layers, parietal layer and visceral layer. Because the heart projects into it, you can notice here the outer fibrous pericardium is open here, whereas inner serous sac is closed and has a visceral layer which is intimately attached to the heart and a parietal layer which is intimately related to the pericardium, that is you are seeing here. And you can also notice the different layers of the heart here from inside to outside. You are seeing endocardium, myocardium and visceral part of the epicardium, and you can see the pleural, this pericardial cavity, and outside you can see parietal pericardium which is intimately attached to the fibrous pericardium. So here in this picture you can notice the fibrous pericardium is here, but you can see fibrous pericardium is here. Inner serous is reduced into an outer parietal and inner visceral layers that you are observing here. These are the different components. So by this explanation you can understand the heart is intrafibrous but extra serous in position. Heart is intrafibrous but extra serous. You can see here, you are seeing the heart there descending from above and behind into the balloon shaped serous pericardium, and when heart descends you can see outer pericardium, fibrous pericardium, it is open here, that is what you are observing. So when the heart descends from above and behind, it reduces the balloon shaped pericardial cavity into two layers. One which is intimately attached to the heart is visceral layer, and one which is intimately related to the fibrous pericardium, outer fibrous pericardium, is parietal layer. So heart is not lying inside the pericardial cavity, it is projecting into the balloon shaped serous cavity. Imagine yourself fisting your hand into the balloon. Heart is outside the balloon, but the balloon is covering the hand. So imagine, to understand this better, imagine you are putting a hand into the balloon inside a plastic carry bag. So outside plastic carry bag is fibrous pericardium, inside balloon is serous pericardium. So what is fibrous pericardium? It is a cone shaped truncated open sac. It keeps the heart in position and prevents the over distension of the heart, and it is pierced by the great blood vessels as it is covering them near their root. So you can notice here, this is the fibrous pericardium what you are observing. It is conical in shape, open sac through which the heart enters inside, and once you take out the fibrous part, you are seeing the serous pericardium now. This is the serous pericardium what you are noticing now. So serous sac is this is serous sac, fibrous sac is isolated and hidden. Now you are seeing the serous sac. Serous sac is a closed sac, it is like a balloon, whereas fibrous pericardium is open sac, it is like a plastic carry bag. Okay, so remember that fibrous is open sac, serous is closed sac. That is what you are observing here, and these both layers cover the heart and keep the heart in position and prevent it from over distension. Coming to the attachments of the fibrous pericardium, above anteriorly you can see the bony parts there. Above it blends with the external coat or tunica adventitia of the ascending aorta and pulmonary trunk. Below it fuses with the central tendon of the diaphragm. In front it is attached to the posterior surface of the body of the sternum by superior and inferior sternopericardial ligaments. You can see above. aorta and pulmonary trunk, below central tendon of diaphragm. Anteriorly it is related to the posterior surface of the body of the sternum, and posteriorly it blends with the anterior boundary of posterior mediastinum. So you can see there, anteriorly you can see the sternum, body of the sternum attached by the sternopericardial ligaments. And coming to the structures piercing, as we have already seen the fibrous pericardium with a lot of openings there for different structure. You can see superior vena cava, ascending aorta, pulmonary trunk, and from below the inferior vena cava pierces it and enters the heart. So coming to the relations, anteriorly already we have seen it is related to the sternum, and in persons below 18 years you can see the part of the thymus gland also anterior to the fibrous pericardium. Posteriorly it is related to the anterior boundary of posterior mediastinum with esophagus, bifurcation of trachea, and the pulmonary vessels there, and on the left side is related to the pulmonary surface of the left lung, and on the right side the pulmonary surface of the right lung. Below it is related to the central tendon of the diaphragm. So these are the different relations of the fibrous pericardium, and you can see anteriorly it is attached to the sternum by the sternopericardial ligaments in the anterior mediastinum, and posteriorly is related to the bifurcation of trachea, esophagus, descending thoracic aorta, the structures of the posterior mediastinum, below central tendon of diaphragm, above it fuses with the roots of great blood vessels. Coming to the serous pericardium, you can notice here serous pericardium is a closed sac within the fibrous pericardium, and heart projects into it during development from above and behind, reducing it into a potential sac or a cavity that we call it as pericardial cavity, and having two layers, the intimately attached visceral layer and the outer parietal layer, which is intimately related to the fibrous pericardium outside. So by projecting into it, heart reduces the pericardium, serous pericardium, into a potential cavity, resulting in an outer parietal and an inner visceral layer. You can see during development the heart, you can see there, heart projects into fibrous pericardium, and inside there is a serous pericardium, balloon shaped. So the fibrous pericardium is open here, it is open here, whereas this is serous pericardium. The heart reduces it into a two-layered cavity having an outer parietal layer and an inner visceral layer. This is one more depiction. You can see here, this is the fibrous pericardium outside, and inside is closed serous one. Heart is entering into the serous, not inside it, it is reducing it into a cavity. So this is what happens during development. Heart descends from above and behind. So it is intrafibrous but extra serous in position. So after this you can see the different layers of the heart here. From inside to outside you are noticing the endocardium there, lined by complex homoceptilium, myocardium, then visceral layer, parietal layer, then fibrous pericardium. That is what you are noticing. Coming to the serous pericardium, again the potential space contains the capillary fluid, which is enough to allow free movement of the heart. Maximum amount is around 300 ml. So the parietal layer of the serous pericardium, it lines the inner surface of the fibrous pericardium. You can notice there, that is the outer fibrous pericardium. You can see parietal layer is intimately related to it, whereas the inner visceral layer is intimately related to the heart. It covers the heart and roots of the great blood vessels. So these are the different components, and here you can notice how the serous layer is there, visceral layer and all. You can notice the parietal layer and a visceral layer of the serous pericardium. Now coming to the sinuses of the pericardium. So what are these sinuses? Nothing but the gaps in the pericardium. You can see this is a transverse one, and here you can see the oblique sinus, which is inverted J-shaped. The tube surrounding the veins has an inverted J shape, that is called as oblique sinus, and the passage between the two pericardial tubes, arterial tubes and venous tube, is called as a transverse sinus. So transverse sinus is there between the superior vena cava, pulmonary veins, and ascending aorta and pulmonary trunk in front. So during development, the heart has two ends. One is the arterial end and one is venous end. And during development, it forms a bulboventricular loop where these arterial tubes and venous tubes comes together and they are separated by a sinus that is called as transverse sinus. You can see there it lies between the arterial and venous ends of the primitive heart. It is formed by the degeneration of the central cells of the dorsal mesocardium. Anteriorly you can see ascending aorta and pulmonary trunk. Posteriorly related to the superior vena cava and upper border of the left atrium, receiving the pulmonary veins. That's why we say transverse sinus is between the arterial end and venous end during the development. In the next pic you can see here, during development you have this arterial end, venous end, and heart undergoes the loop formation, that we call it as bulboventricular loop, and here the dorsal mesocardium degenerates, giving rise to this transverse sinus between the arterial end and venous end. So anteriorly you are seeing the aorta and pulmonary trunk, posteriorly you are seeing superior vena cava and pulmonary veins with the left atrium there. So the transverse sinus is derived from there. It lies between the two ends of the primitive heart, and after the loop formation it is formed due to degeneration of the central cells of the dorsal mesocardium. Remember that. And next, as you go, you can see here, this is the picture from above. You can notice the transverse sinus here, anterior related to the ascending aorta and pulmonary trunk, posterior related to the left atrium, receiving the pulmonary veins, two sets of pulmonary veins. So it lies between the arterial end and venous end, that you should remember. So that is the transverse sinus. You can see, you can pass the fingers between the two. They depict the development of the heart from different ends, and also tell about the formation of bulboventricular loop. So to understand this, you should go through the development of the heart in detail. So please go through it, study the embryology. Then you can see the oblique sinus here. It is a blind pouch behind the left atrium. It is formed by the absorption of the pulmonary veins. Right side you are seeing the right pair of pulmonary veins. On the left side you can see left pair of pulmonary veins, and this is the oblique sinus here. This is the oblique sinus what you are observing. It is formed due to absorption of pulmonary veins. Formed due to absorption of the pulmonary veins. Whereas transverse sinus is due to the bulboventricular loop. You can see here, this is the transverse sinus here, oblique sinus will be here. Okay, so you can notice the right atrium, the left atrium is here, right ventricle and left ventricle will be here. So oblique sinus is here, behind and below the left atrium, and it lies between the two pairs of the pulmonary veins. So this is about the pericardial sinuses. Again, you can see there in this one more picture depicting the sinuses, transverse and oblique. Transverse is due to the degeneration of the dorsal mesocardium between venous end and arterial end. Oblique sinus is due to the absorption of pulmonary veins. Coming to the blood supply, the fibrous and parietal layer have the internal thoracic, musculophonic and descending thoracic aorta branches, whereas visceral layer is separated by the coronary artery itself. We have discussed coronary arteries are nothing but vasa, vasorum, and they have corresponding veins. So this is about the blood supply of the pericardium. What you can see there, the internal thoracic artery is a branch of subclavian artery. It divides into musculophrenic and superior epigastric. It supplies fibrous and parietal layers. Coronary arteries, right and left coronary arteries, they give these pericardial branches which supplies the visceral layer. So next, moving on to the nerve supply here. So fibrous and parietal layer supplied by the phrenic nerve, which is sensory and pain sensitive, that is somatic. Visceral layer is supplied by the autonomic nervous system, vagus and sympathetic, it is non-pain sensitive. So that is about the nerve supply. Fibrous and parietal have the somatic nerve supply, whereas visceral layer has the autonomic nerve supply. You can notice here, you can see in this fibrous pericardium, what you are seeing here is, this is the ascending aorta, pulmonary trunk and superior vena cava. Here you are seeing the 4 pulmonary veins, and this is the transverse sinus. Transverse sinus is here. This is transverse sinus. What you have observed here, you can see how these pulmonary veins pierce the pericardium and enter there. Forming the gaps in the pericardium, and as you see in the serous part, it will be more clear here. Just observe here, you can notice, yes, it is more clear here. You can see this is the transverse sinus, what is there. So you can understand, and the oblique sinus will be here. The oblique sinus will be here below the left atrium, between the right and left pairs of pulmonary veins. So it is a blind pouch, cul-de-sac or inverted J-shaped gap. So again you can see here will be transverse sinus and here will be oblique sinus. So these are the 2 sinuses of the pericardium which we are observing here. Next, as you go here, coming to the blood supply, so it receives the blood supply from the internal thoracic artery. You can see pericardial branches. Right and left internal thoracic artery gives the pericardial branches here. As you can notice, the blood vessels supplying there. And coming to the nerve supply, it is by the phrenic nerve. You are seeing all the thoracic spinal nerve rami here, ventral rami, what you are observing. And you can see here the pericardium is supplied by the phrenic nerves. They run along with the vessels. Once you take out all these ventral rami, you can notice there. So just now if you turn and see, you can see right and left phrenic nerves giving the pericardial branch there. They run along with the blood vessel. So phrenic nerve not only supplies the diaphragm, it also supplies the pericardium, giving the somatic nerve supply, that is fibrous pericardium and parietal layer of serous pericardium. They are pain sensitive as they are supplied by this phrenic nerves. You can notice here picture depicting the neurovascular supply of the pericardium. Remember that. And coming to the applied aspects, so surgical significance of transverse sinus is, you can tie the great blood vessels by passing the ligature in the transverse sinus during the bypass surgeries and all, to prevent the loss of blood supply. You can utilize this for surgical manipulation, the transverse sinus. And coming to the pericardial effusion, just like the pleural effusion, it is the accumulation of the fluid in the pericardial cavity, where the person will come with the difficulty in breathing and low pulse, and you can see here the cardiac shadow is enlarged and it is more than half of this costophrenic angle, what you can see here. So enlarged part. And pericarditis, nothing but the inflammation of the pericardium. It happens in a lot of conditions, viral infections, bacterial infections, and autoimmune conditions, and even in case of metastasis of cancer. Then pericardial rub is nothing but the rough serous pericardium. There's a typical auscultatory finding. Cardiac tamponade, it is the compression of the heart due to excessive blood collection. It may be blood or pus. There will be decreased cardiac output, and primary causes are the physical trauma, especially in road traffic accidents. The steering injury, when the chest compress on the steering in case of head-on collisions. It may happen also in hypothyroidism, pericarditis, and myocardial rupture. So there will be collection of blood in the pericardial cavity, compressing the heart from contracting, it resulting in less cardiac output. Then in case of pericardial effusion, we do paracentesis by passing the needle in the left costoxiphoid angle. You can see there the left costoxiphoid angle, or in the 5th and 6th intercostal space here. You are passing the drainage tube with the needle. So this is about the pericardium and its sinuses in detail. If you have any suggestions, please comment and let us learn together and have a happy learning. Thank you.